Look, Robert Whittaker is a stud. Marvin Vettori is a stud. They do things differently, though. And I do believe the speed lies with Robert Whittaker. Speed is usually the direction that I will go to when I look at a fighter and say, who has the advantage? The guy that is the faster fighter. And I think overall, Robert Whittaker is the faster fighter here.
I look at Robert Whittaker. He's a lot of talk right now of him going up to 205, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
He went from 170, was killing himself to get there, then up to 85, then going to 205. And what I liked when I was reading what he was talking about going to 205 is that he wants to make sure that he is done in this division first. And beating Marvin Vettori right now would capitalize the fact that, look, there's no one else ahead of me, and I'm not getting an automatic rematch, or I'm not getting a rematch here soon against Izzy. So I might as well make my way to another weight class where I could potentially be the champ. I think he's got a great chance of being the champ in that weight class. It just depends on how he carries that weight, which is what he talked about, in that article that I read. I think Vettori is a tough fight for him, though. All those things, I agree with you, John. That Robert Whittaker is the faster fighter. He's tighter with his stand-up. He's got the cleaner combinations. He's more crafty on the feet. But if I'm going to say really what it comes down to is it's going to come down to the toughness of Vettori if he's going to get it done. He's got to pressure the takedowns. He's got to grind on him, hang on him, make him fight an uncomfortable fight. Robert Whittaker on his back foot is not the same fighter he is going forward, not the same fighter standing in the center of the cage and dictating the pace of the fight. He can sprawl and then prop you back up and land head kicks and combinations. But I think if Vettori does a little bit of how he fought Izzy by trying to press him to the fence, trying to control him that way, I think he'll have a little bit more success on getting Whittaker down. I don't know if he can hold him down.
I don't think he can hold him down is the difference.
But I think he'll be able to get him down. Now, how much will that slow Robert Whittaker down on the feet? And how much of an effect will that have during this duration? Now, I think it's only a three-round fight.
Three-round fight.
Correct? Yeah, three-round fight. It's going to be very hard to take him down repeatedly in a three-round fight and take Robert Whittaker down. So I'm going to have to go agree with you, and I'm leaning towards Robert Whittaker because of the combinations, the cleanness of that. He's been around the block and fought every who's who in the game. And Vittori's fought tough guys as well. Just doesn't have that in-cage, in-ring experience or, as Robert Whittaker does against the top guys. Now, he's fought the top guy, but not to the level of which Robert Whittaker has. Yeah.
I go with Vettori I love everything about him. He's a gamer. He comes to fight. He doesn't back down from him. I love when he did the whole thing with the Paulo Costa thing and saying, I don't care what weight. And, went up an entire weight class, basically 20 pounds to have the fight so he didn't lose the fight. Everything about him, I love. I just think that in this matchup, this is a hard stylistic matchup for the way he fights and the way Whittaker fights. This one's a tough one for him. I'm not saying he can't get it done. He can, but I wouldn't say he's the favorite in it.
Let me throw a wrench in this. Because Robert Whittaker's already talking about 205, is he already checked out of this division? That might be also something.
I don't think so. I think, you're being honest about, your future, and you're looking at things and saying, look, I know that they're not going to throw me back in with Israel because, he's 2-0 on me right now. I had a good second fight with him, but it went to, him on the scorecards. It's going to be a while. So I'll take this fight and then I'll talk with my team and think about, maybe we will move up because at least I believe that I can contend there quicker than I'm going to be able to contend where I'm at here at middleweight. So I don't think it's a distraction. I think it's just a matter of him telling the truth.
I look at the guys in the 205-pound division, and there's not one that I look at that he can't beat. Not one.
You're right. Like, I'm being honest, the speed and his ability to fight everywhere and to be very tough to hold down in a takedown situation makes him a hard matchup. No doubt about it. I agree with you. It's not that they can't beat him, but I think he can be competitive with all of them.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say that he can't be beat. I'm simply saying that he can beat all of them. Now, when I look at certain fighters when they go up into weight class, I'm like, you're not gonna be able to beat this guy. You're not gonna be able to beat this guy. You might be able to beat this guy. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of you're just being real with yourself. I think this fighter is going to be able to beat this. And the reality is that there's not a guy in that 205-pound division now that John Jones is out of there that I'm like, Robert Whittaker could beat all of them. He could beat each one of them. Now, he could also lose to each one of them.
Yeah, well,
that's the fight game. That's the fight game. So, but I think it does make for some fun fights if you take Robert Whittaker up there. Because if I look at him and Yuri Prochaska, I look at him like, Robert's got the cleaner stand-up. He's got the ability to get the takedowns. And we saw that Yuri is not the best off of his back. And Robert's a smart fighter. Whittaker is able to take that fight anywhere he wants. I'm not saying it's an easy fight. By all means, it's not an easy fight. No. We know that. But I think he's got a chance to win. Yuri leaves himself out of position all the time. Robert Whittaker very rarely leaves himself out of position. So he's got to be brought out of that position. I don't think Yuri can do that to him as much as like Izzy did, because Izzy has the speed, the feints, the style of stand-up to do it. And I look at other guys, Anthony Smith, Santos, who else? The one that's coming back, Dominic Reyes. I look at those guys and I'm like, they're all beatable. They're all beatable.
I agree.
So it makes
You're right.
I would love to see Robert Whittaker go 205, and he's going to he talked about putting the weight on properly, making sure that that's where he's going to stay. So that makes for some fun action. Go to mybookie.ag, use that promo code Weighing In, and they'll give you additional spending cash with your first initial deposit.
100% agree. Okay.